Hello, we are going to do a read aloud for Early Humans 1.2, How do Early Humans Improve Their Lives? Remember, as we go through the reading, you're going to use your graphic organizer to take some notes to help answer the question, okay? From Africa to Southwest Asia, Europe, and further into Asia, how did human populations spread? Historians debate about exactly where the first Homo sapiens, or modern humans, appeared, but the earliest fossils have been found in the south and east of Africa, and so they are believed to be over 150,000 years old. Africa was warm, fertile, and pleasant. So why did the early humans leave? From Africa to Southwest Asia, around 80,000 years ago, an ice age triggered dramatic changes in the Earth's climate. These changes caused the lush African grasslands to transform into desert. Much of the water dried up. This harmed the early humans, who were hunter-gatherers. They survived by following and hunting the vast herds of animals that migrated across the land. As they traveled, they would also gather edible nuts and fruits and plants from the local vegetation they passed. As the water dried up, the plants began to die out, and the animals hunted and moved on in search of water. The early humans needed to find food and water, so they crossed the Red Sea into what is now Yemen in search of a better place to live. In what is now Israel, human fossils have been found that date back to the time of this first human migration. Spreading through Asia and Europe. After crossing the Red Sea, groups of hunter-gatherers spread out into several different regions. Monsoons in India and Arabia caused the rivers in that area to flood. To avoid the flooding rivers, the game moved north and east. The hunter-gatherers followed the game, which was still their main source of food. Some groups of humans followed the coastline around India and Southeast Asia until they came to modern-day China and Russia. Other groups stayed in Southwest Asia, following the Tigris and Euphrates River up into what is now known as the Fertile Crescent. It was here that the earliest complex human civilizations would arise. Homo sapiens did not live in Europe during the Ice Age because the climate was too cold. However, when the Ice Age ended around 40,000 years ago, the climate of Europe grew milder and more hospitable. This, along with their mastery of fire, enabled modern humans to travel further north. Okay, following our 5 steps, we read the question, we read the text. Now we're going to go and we're going to annotate. So again, our question is, how did human populations spread? So we're going to highlight, it's about 80,000 years ago, an ice age triggered change in Earth's climate. Highlight that. These changes caused the lush African grasslands to transform into desert. Much of the water dried up. This harmed the early humans. They survived by following and hunting the vast herds of animals that migrated across the lands. As they traveled, they would also gather edible nuts, fruits, and plants from the local vegetation they passed. The plants began to die out, so we don't need that for our note. These herds need to find food and water, so they crossed the Red Sea into what is now Yemen in search. After crossing the Red Sea, groups of hunter-gatherers spread out into several different regions. Monsoon in India and Arabia caused the rivers of the area to flood. To avoid the flooding rivers, game moved north and east. The hunter-gatherers followed the game, which is still their main source of food. Some groups of humans followed the coastline around India and Southeast Asia until they came to modern-day China and Russia. Other groups stayed in Southwest Asia, following the Tigris and Euphrates River into what's now known as the Fertile Crescent. It was there the earliest complex human civilizations would arise. Homo sapiens did not live in Europe during the Ice Age because the climate was too cold. Okay, so now we have some highlighted stuff. Let's make some notes. Sorry, guys. So, and a change in climate caused the herds in Africa to migrate, and humans followed. Okay, so we are looking at our question. How do human populations spread? They spread throughout Asia, Russia, and the Middle East. Okay? It was more hospitable for them and the herds they followed. Okay, so there's our answer to our question. You're done, ready to move on to your next one. Make sure you carry this all into your graphic or copy it all into your graphic organizer.